One of the most profound things I've learned in my life is that it's actually not about my hair at all. I've spent a lifetime trying to cover up who I am. And as much as I love a good external transformation, and I do, I much more love a heart transformation. Join me as I share how I work to heal my heart, find happiness, and embrace our hair. My land, we're back. Welcome back. I wonder if you guys realized I was missing, but I'm sorry for the abrupt end, but I am excited to be back with you guys. We stopped at episode 27, which was seeking family approval, and it's been a month or two. And, I was like, I'm going to stop. I'm going to recalibrate. I'm going to come back with a remodeled room, a better space, better mic situation, some more guests, and I'm going to wait until I have it all figured out. And guess what? That counteracts every darn thing we've been talking about since the beginning of this podcast. So if you're just joining us for episode 28 of the revamp, I did none of that. What I did was I went back to my roots. And we started with this idea that we put on these lenses. So if you're watching, you can see that I'm doing this. If you're just listening, you can't see it, but I just put on these glasses. And the point of that is to demonstrate that through life, if you guys have been here since the beginning, you'll know through life, we acquire different prescriptions as we walk through life. So the first time our feelings get hurt, boom, lenses go on. People are dangerous. The first time someone rejects us, boom, I don't want to get too close to anybody. New lenses come on. And it begins to shift the reality in which we see the world around us. And for me, that started in my early memories. And I've shared this about the way that I see myself and my hair and my body and my mind. And it begins to control the way that we view the world, but it's not actually as it is. Does that make sense? See, all of us can be in the same room at the same time, listening to the same speaker or the same podcast, and we will all have left with a different feeling, emotion, sense of purpose or not, based on how we showed up in the room with our particular prescription. My goal, and the reason that I feel like God called me to this podcast, was to continue to unfold the ideas of our own inability to see reality, my journey through life as I have worked very, very hard to change my prescription lenses. In fact, so that I won't need one at all. Or if I do, that the prescription in which I'm looking for is that God is good and that He is working all things out for my good and His glory. And if you're not a Christian, that's okay. I hope you still stick around because we'll talk about lots of things. But the lens in which the renewal of my mind and the transformation of my heart has come through this idea that Psalms 139, that He knew me before He formed me, that He knit me together in my mother's womb, that all the parts of me that are me were created. So this hair that I used to struggle with, that now if you're seeing it in the present moment, in the reality of this moment, it's actually what has given me this platform, Voss the Curl Boss. My curls have been redeemed. They've been transformed, restored, in fact, I would say, but they've always been here. The reality that this hair has always been here has been a constant, I don't want to say nuisance, but my hair has been a constant inconsistency in my life that has caused me to seek out the knowledge to understand it better. And from that spot, understanding myself better, understanding my clients better, and understanding the world around me better. So here we are, back at where we started, which is usually where it's at. And someday, my goodness golly, I hope that I have all the right equipment. Today, I had intended to use my mic as the the gentleman, Mr. Tony, who helps me produce this podcast, wanted me to use this really great mic because it is really good and the quality of the video is way better, and to not use my iPhone because I bought this really beautiful camera that makes everything great. And sabotage. I hooked it all up this morning and my camera won't work for some goodness reason. And it almost stopped me, and I decided, you know what? We're just going to show up in this moment with what I have, which is this camera on my iPhone, which is great, and faking that this mic is working. So I hope that the sound is good for you guys. Anyways, thank you for letting me take a break. I'm excited to be back. I do hope this season 2 of It's Not About Your Hair, where we talk all things hair, heart, and happiness, we do have guests. I hope that that's one thing that happens. I hope that I figure out how to get a microphone that works better. I hope that we gain a little bit more traction. I hope that if this podcast helps you, or you think of someone it could help, that you share it, that you subscribe, that you hang out. Let's all be here. Let's be committed to it. So we're going to go into, I think, a 4-part series of personal reflection. So I thought it would be really fun, like to go through, really fun or not fun, to go through things I'm currently struggling with. Because you know what? We just got back from church camp. So family camp, church camp. And our theme was being present and being active. And that's kind of been a theme in my life for a while, is how do we be present in the moment and participating in the purpose of our life, right? And the purpose of our life created for us long before we added all these things. So a great mic could make my purpose a little bit more clear, but it doesn't change my purpose. And you acquiring more skills doesn't make you more valuable, because your purpose was already intrinsically put inside of you. But somewhere along the way, we get caught in the weeds again. So I've been caught in the weeds. And there's been a few things I've been doing between surrounding myself with really beautiful people, taking a little bit of time to be in the moment, and reading really great books, which I love. And one of them includes the Bible. So I always say this isn't a Christian podcast, you guys, but I am a Christian. I'm a curly girl. This is a life podcast about progressing through life together. My hopes are that as I share my personal struggles, victories, failures, that maybe you'll recognize something in yourself and it will help you to move forward. So this 4-part series is based on some revelations from church camp, as well as this book that I've read a couple times, The Motivation Manifesto by Brendon Burchard, who is absolutely one of the most enlightening people I've ever heard. And it just really raises me to want more out of my life. And so my current struggles, I thought that we could go over. So I'm going to have 4 different videos in this episodes in this series. And we're going to talk about a couple different things. I got some notes here to remind myself. So the 4 struggles that I'm currently dealing with are controlling what I can't control. Anybody else? Can I get an amen? So this episode, we're going to talk about that, controlling what we can. Okay. That's going to be really good. Our second episode is being present. Okay. The power of learning to be present by overcoming our habits of living in the past and worrying about the future. Oh, that's going to be good, you guys, because I'm telling you. And all of these are current struggles. I already said that. So they're not things I've mastered or figured out, folks. They're things I'm going through. And I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks that I'm using in hopes that they help you. 3 is choosing. So we get to choose our emotional sky. A lot of these topics, you guys, I've talked about before, because it takes 10 times, or for me, 100 times to hear the same thing in a different way before I catch it. So I hope that that's helpful to you. They say there's never been a new sermon preached since the beginning of sermons being preached, because we're all just teaching the same things over and over again. And that's the same with curly hair. I don't change my techniques necessarily. I just keep telling you, simple but serious. And that's how a life well lived is. So, and then 4, well, I don't have that one wrote down. 4 is probably going to be the journey. And so that's it. So today, let's dive into intimacy and marriage. That was 4. Intimacy and marriage. And that one's personal, vulnerable, maybe geared more towards my ladies. I have one, I'm sure, of male follower, Mr. Dave, who is a member of my church and a really great friend. And we have a lot in common. So Dave, if you're listening to this, episode, 4 from now is not. It's for the ladies. He always says, how come you don't say your guys too? So I'm glad you guys are here, and let's get into it. So Motivation Manifesto, 9 declarations to claim your personal power. Well, shoot, I hope you're here for that. We're going to skip right up to page 66, you guys, and I'm going to read right from this book. Adam and I, Big Daddy, my husband, we went away for our, I said 23rd, he said 22nd. Anyways, anniversary, and we went to Holland. We just went to the beach, and I read 90% of this book while he got a hot pink tiger stripe sunburn. I wish I had a picture to insert here, but it was awesome. And there's nothing like reading on the beach. But this book, it's a page turner, you guys, not in like a killer. You people like those killer books. That gets me. I don't want it to be freaked out in my life. I want to be motivated. So anyways, rabbit trailing, you guys. Page 66. Let's take it from the top. This is about creating an environment to grow and controlling what we can. Okay, so it's so important that we recognize that in order to grow, we need to be surrounded by fertile soil, and that we can cultivate that soil. This is not easy, but there are things that we can do. So for motivation's sake, we must be vigilant and surround ourselves with genuine and positive people who seek positive aims with positive attitudes. So if you don't have anyone in your life, it's me. And if you check out Brendon, it can be Brendon. This can be hard to find these kind of people. Okay, I'm going to keep reading. Let us also be more disciplined in shaping our physical environments to amplify our emotions. We should love the spaces we spend our time in, and if we do not, we should make immediate changes. Walking into our homes should bring peace and the ability to be rejuvenated. We should also have plenty of light in a place where we cannot be disturbed so that we can reflect, think, make art. We should feel comfortable where we sleep and where we think. Our workspaces should inspire us, and we should have a ready contact list of other driven people to call upon when we need new inspiration. If we do not, again, we must make immediate changes to find and cultivate such spaces and relationships. If we lack a supportive place to live and work, or a positive peer group, let it be our mission to manifest those things into our lives. Our environments matter, and so we shall shape it to lift us to the next realm of motivation and joy. Oh, that's good. So, let's just talk about that a little bit. So many people, including myself, feel like they have to get away in order to relax. And so it's been on my mission for the last year or so, maybe a little bit longer, to really create my home as a place that I can find peace and enjoy to be in. And that can be hard because we take us wherever we go. So that's really important, is that you have a personal atmosphere. We're going to get into that. But right now we're just working on our spaces and the things we're surrounded in. So this doesn't mean you need to go out and buy a whole new house or new furniture, but if you have a lot of clutter and you don't like clutter, you need to work to get rid of that. I thrift most of the things that I find, but if you don't have beautiful things in your home that make you feel warm and welcomed, I read a book about the book of Haiji, I think it's called Haigu. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but it's a way that the Danish create spaces, and they work a lot with lighting and smells. And I went through my whole house and worked on lamps in different areas to create more warm lighting and candles and blankets and pillows to create coziness in lots of different areas. I put stacks of books in places, and books that could be picked up and read just a page at a time, magazines that inspire me to look at, but really, really important. So I want you to think about, and you can't do your whole house, but maybe it's your bedroom. What can you do to create a more comforting and relaxing space? And one of them is, and I'm working on this too, is not having our phones in our bedroom. So get an old-fashioned alarm clock, a hatch, something that you can use so that you don't need your phone in your room. That number one will start creating a better environment. Really comfortable. My mom, Mary, has tarnished me, but really great pillows and blankets and sheets. I know it sounds silly, you guys, but when we can look forward to going home, that's a really great thing. The next one that they talked about was your workplace. So this is important. I'm lucky that I am in a salon suite in my physical job where I am in work, and I have really invested time and money into cultivating that space to reflect my personality in bringing in all the colors that I like. So if you have a desk at work, are there things that you could bring to that desk that make you feel at home? Sometimes when we don't like our job, we don't add things in. Is it so? What can you add to your work that makes you feel inspired? And then the next one was the people, our peer group. This one's very, very hard to change. And sometimes we get stuck in the patterns of, if you hang out, and I talked about this, seeking family approval in our last podcast, but if you, I had a phone coaching session with a stylist a couple weeks ago, and she was talking about how all of her friends and family are kind of downers, and make her feel like she's comparing herself, and they bring up other hairstylists and all these things all the time around her. And like, you got to tell them to stop. And she's like, well, that's just how we are. And I'm like, that is dragging you down and making you hate the thing that you love. Because she said she loved her job, but was thinking about getting out of it. And all of the reasons that she was thinking about getting out of it were the people around her that were talking negatively towards her, about her, and bringing up other things. And this is very hard. If you hang out with your family all the time because they're your family, but they bring you down, you don't have to like cut off your family, but you also don't have to keep going into that environment if it isn't bringing you life. Okay? You can put boundaries around how much you hang out with people. And if you don't like being alone and that's your only other option, then you need to work on why you struggle with being alone. So listening to podcasts, trusting your intuition, start journaling and write down what's inside of you. Because when we start our day, you guys, looking at our phone, and I know you've heard this if you listen to anybody, if you start your day looking at your phone, end your day looking at your phone, and you never take time to just be still and quiet because you're uncomfortable with yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, I would say that the people you're surrounding yourself with and the things that you're listening to or watching are stealing your joy. So create some spaces, you guys, that you can challenge yourself to be surrounded by encouraging, at least one encouraging person. And if you don't have one, so here's one thing that I say all the time, you guys. I am a highly motivated, really excited entrepreneur who is constantly dreaming. And I don't have any real people in my life right now that I meet with on a regular basis that are entrepreneurs like I am, or are creatives like I am. Um, so where I find those people is in books and in podcasts. And that is how I surround myself with people who are dreaming like I dream. And I am praying for and working hard to, so when he says manifest those things, manifesting is praying, dreaming, getting a clear picture of what you want and what you're thinking about. Okay. So I have prayed specifically for my circle to enlarge, that the Lord would bring people into my life that encourage, motivate, and inspire me. And just recently, just last week, I turned down a really big opportunity to go to Italy on this trip of a lifetime, which I really wanted to. That was a motivational trip where you go and surrounded by other creatives. It's a mastermind group. And I really wanted that because part of my thing is being surrounded by these people. And I turned it down because it just wasn't the right time for me and my family for me to do something like that. And the next day, I got a phone call from a friend, Miss Joanne. And I have really met some really great girlfriends in my Inner Sense community, Miss Jody, who really, really, really inspire me and encourage me and think big. And I got invited for a girls' weekend. And it was awesome because where one door closes, another door opens. And so sometimes the people that we need to connect with live in other states. So both of these girls, there's 4 of us that are meeting up, all live in a different state, but we're meeting up and we can motivate each other. I'm motivated when I see them on the internet, when I talk to them on the phone, and then to get together in these groups. So don't think that the only way you can meet new people is if they're in your community, but they probably are. But we have to take the risk to put ourselves out there. So in order for us to feel inspired, we need to have a place. So that's your homework this week, beautiful friends, is to not wait till everything's perfect. So we're back at the podcast exactly as we left it. Low quality. But the content is good. So here's what I need you to do. Do it when you don't know what you're doing, okay? We're controlling what we can control. So I want you to control your environment. Pick one area of your home, your office, your bedroom that you can make a little cozier, a little bit more inviting, something that doesn't create anxiety, a place you can escape to in your own home, okay? Step 1. Step 2, we're going to get into our work environment. How can you create an environment that you like at work a little bit more? And if you can't, get a new job, okay? Literally get a new job or start working towards a new job. And then guess what? That's going to be stressful because change is hard, but is it worth it if you're miserable? Okay, so what is something you can change at work that's just going to make work a little bit better? You know, I go to the VOA all the time. Today's half off day. I'm headed there. And there is these young guys that work there, and they always got one AirPod in, which I used to think was really annoying when I would see young people do that. But you know what? They're always in a good mood, smiling, and they're taking care of clothes. And so if you work at a job that you can, if music is your thing and you need that, can you put one AirPod in and still listen to the things around you and be engaged? But maybe that's the one thing you can change to set a better environment. So think about what you can do to create a space you love. If you're a teacher, how are you going to set up your classroom this year to really be engaged, even if you're frustrated with the way the system's working? So I get a lot of that, right? Like, well, I just don't love my job. I don't love my clients. Don't love my students. I don't love this. Well, what do you love? Dang it. Because that's what you need to focus on. And then you cultivate the environment you want to be in. So as we're getting back to school, you know, if you're a store clerk and you're checking people out, what can you do? Do you have a motivational sign you can put at your cashier's checkout that's a favorite quote? Do you have one you can put on your, I have 2 on my water bottle here, you guys, if you're looking, it's not focusing. A friend gave me this one, speak life to the dreams of your own soul. And the other one says, it's okay if everything falls apart right now. The future you knows exactly what to do with all those pieces. So if you can't literally decorate your desk, decorate your dang water bottle and set it up for the people you're checking out to see. Like, you do have control, okay? And step 3 is people. People, 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 people. I had a friend in high school who was mean as heck. Mean as freaking heck. Yet we hung out with her every day. I don't know why. I have no idea why. Sometimes the meanest people control the environment that you're in. Ditch them now. And not in a mean way. But you do not have to let people treat you unkindly. You have that choice. If you're hanging around people that are constantly bringing you down, you are better to not hang around them and to seek out. So a way you could find new people in your community is join a volunteer group. Start going to church. You can come to mine if you want. There's 40 of us, not very many. We'd love to have you. Find something you're passionate about. Friends of the River, if you really enjoy nature. There is some group in your area that you can connect with and find people. And that's a hard step. So that's why I said it's hard. It's not easy. But that's your homework for this week. You're going to control what you can control, because we're going to work on creating environments that we feel, oh goodness sakes, motivated, inspired, and enlightened, so that we can do the hard work of step 2, which is next week's podcast, which is being present. And we can't do that if all the spaces we're in make us feel icky. So, dang, it feels good to be back. Thank you for being here today, you guys. And as always, I hope that you know that if you are on this path and you're not doing okay today, that you know that if you keep going, it will get better. That just one foot in front of the other takes you far from where you are, one day at a time. That today, all you have to do is show up, and that you have to remember that you have more power than you think. You are more beautiful than you believe you are. And that I believe in you. I really do. Because I don't believe that my God makes junk. So you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And I'm super glad you're here. I guess this is where I ask you to subscribe to my channel, to follow me on social, and to listen wherever podcasts can be found. And join me every Tuesday at 2 as we unpack how to heal your hair, your heart, and your happiness.